afternoon, I'm Raylene Ramsey. This is your afternoon news fix for Tuesday, the 30th of April. Support for a review into Waikaha, the Ministry of Disabled People. The government says a 3-person panel will consider long-term strengthening of support services. Disability Support Network CEO Peter Reynolds says the review's scope is unclear. He says he doesn't believe there's been financial mismanagement in the ministry, but hopes this will clarify issues.
Anything that's likely to throw a spotlight on the shortfall in funding for the disability support sector and the shortfall in funding in setting up Waikaha has got to be a good thing.
Chris Bishop says the government will look at whether ministers should have the final say under new fast-track consenting laws. The bill, currently before Select Committee, gives final sign-off for certain projects to Bishop, who was Infrastructure Minister, and Simeon Brown and Shane Jones. Submitters have raised concern about their power and conflicts of interest. Bishop says he's open to sensible changes.
There's been some suggestions around how the panels should be the final decision makers around that, in the same way that Labor's fast-track regime looked at. We'll have a good look at that.
Te Pāti Māori says the Children's Minister should resign after a Waitangi tribunal reports found her proposed bill will harm vulnerable children. Karen Chaw plans to introduce a bill to repeal treaty obligations from the Oranga Tamariki Act and challenged a tribunal summons asking her to provide her reasoning. Chaw is Māori and a former state ward. Te Pāti's Debbie Ngariwa-Packer says instead of following evidence, Chaw is being swayed by her own experience.
At least 16 reviews that have given clear evidence and a way forward. She's ignoring that because of her own personal trauma, and that's unacceptable.
In the US, 4 police officers have died in a shooting at a North Carolina home. CNN says officers trying to serve a warrant for firearm possession on a convicted felon was shot by a high-power rifle. Reporter Laura Coates says 4 officers were also injured.
Officers took a woman and 17-year-old into custody. This is one of the deadliest days for police since 2016 when 5 officers were shot and killed in Dallas.
A man of humility, great empathy, love and political potential. Parliamentarians are remembering Green MP Ofil Collins in a special debate to acknowledge his death in February. The 49-year-old collapsed and died at an Auckland charity event 1 week after giving his maiden speech. Greens co-leader Marama Davidson says Collins wanted to end uncaring neoliberalism.
That vision of an Aotearoa where everyone, including the square pegs, the misfits, the forgotten, the unloved, were cared for.
To sport, and former All Blacks and Warriors doctor John Mayhew believes removing the kick-off from the NRL to limit head contact from high-speed collisions would be a step too far, saying the focus should be on proper tackle technique. Injury-plagued Crusaders flanker Ethan Blackadder says he's had to become more measured in training to avoid spending more time on the sideline with soft tissue issues. And the Mystics are hopeful a leg injury suffered by Grace Weke is a minor niggle, but aren't sure if the star shooter will be available for Sunday's ANZ Premiership showdown against Central Pulse. I'm Raylene Ramsey. That is your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update tomorrow morning from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.